Okay, I'm gonna open this meeting of Jefferson County Board of Supervisors for June 16th. And would entertain a motion to acknowledge the minutes of June 9th. And get sticker off, must be June 10th. June 9th and June 10th.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Vote Dave?
Well, we're still trying to deal with the problem up on the second floor regarding not having AC for
Right.
the magistrate courtroom and jury deliberations.
Oh, excuse me.
Right after the meeting last week, what happened was I got a call from them saying, it's too hot, you have to fix this.
Yeah.
So really, the only way to fix it is to replace it. Because you remember last year we went through all the systems
Yeah.
and because up until that point, we had been doing, just hit and miss. This is a problem, that's a problem. We need to fix this. So last year we went through and tried to figure out where we were at with everything. And, one of the unfortunate parts of this whole thing is that most of the equipment that was up there at that time, well, some of it's been replaced, but there's still 50% of it that is still in place. We have 10 mini split systems here. That's 10 compressors, 10 line sets, well, more than 10 line sets because the 10 compressors feed 19 heads like that up there. That's what we're trying to deal with here.
So you're indicating not to even go with $700 first?
I think it's like putting lipstick on a pig. I think
I've
that-
seen some pretty nice leather pig.
I think that's what it's equal to. So one of the things that's going on right now is that they're switching to this new coolant. And the new coolant means all new units. And it also means that whoever the contractor is gonna have to dump about $20,000 in new tools to be able to even service this stuff or to install it. Our present contractor, because of his age, is not going to spend that money. So what we're doing right now is we're trying to buy what we can that's available. And I think what we have that may be available, we're gonna find out sometime this morning, is we can put a compressor in to replace the one that goes upstairs to those two rooms. But instead of having a 2 or 3 head compressor, we can put one in that will service 4. We install the 2 that are required right now. And then depending on which systems go out after that, we still have the capability on the east end of the building to add 2 additional units, but it requires that we purchase the heads now because availability is running out. We're trying to find, referred to as cassettes. Cassette is a unit that's placed in the ceiling in the middle. They're usually 2 by 2 instead of a wall mount. And it's cassettes that we've got upstairs. We're not sure if we can get 2 cassettes right now. If we can't, we'll have to do a wall mount installation, but without going to the new equipment. So right now I'm trying to get a cost together and I'm trying to figure out how we can get the most bang for our buck with what's available.
So if we were to say go with the compressor that can handle 4, are you suggesting we replace all 4 heads?
No, we've
Run the money up front.
we've got 2 other systems that are fed from the east end of the building. We have 2 heads, one's located in the passport office in the conference room. That's one that could be replaced and then the other one is in the auditor's office and the Veterans Affairs office. That's another one. So if either one of those go out, we can say, okay, we've got the equipment, we can update this, but from that point on, we have to go to a different vendor, which.
But the heads should still, or not always, obviously they can always change, but The heads would be available.
The heads would be available, and then at the same time, if we had any working heads, if they could be rotated to another position on the west end of the building, we would be saving those. So, you know, we might get some parts out of the whole thing as well.
Well, I guess then what like you said, you're in the, attempting to gather cost information. So
Yeah.
what I would ask if the board is that once you have that information, that you get with Abby and have it on the agenda as a discuss and consider.
Okay. Can we leave this discussion open for a bit this morning without closing it so we could revisit if I do come up with a cost?
Well, yes, you can.
Okay.
Thank you.
And what time should I try and have that cost by?
Well, we'll probably be here. We got it.
I'll tell
Be
you,
good.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just, you know what we're trying to do. I'll come up with a cost. I'll write it on a piece of paper. If you guys are still in here, I'll give it to you and I'll turn around and walk out the door. That way I don't have to waste your time and you don't have to waste
Walk
mine.
out the door.
So it's no problem. We'll just handle it that way.
All right, we'll go from there and see what you come up with.
Make a suggestion.
You sure can. I'm gonna listen.
When
to it, but you-
when he shows up, finish the item we're on and then insert him back in there.
Yeah, because we had,
Okay,
because Abby was on top of her game. We had to discuss and consider mini splits in the courthouse.
It's already on the agenda.
Yeah. So we'll just jump over that. for the
Unless
time
we're in
being.
a public hearing. Is there a public hearing at 9 o'clock? I'm wrong.
Nope,
Not today. Nope, next week. Okay.
So we're good.
okay, I'll try and get you the price as quickly as I can. I've already got a call into him this morning and I've spoken with his wife and told her what I want, so.
Okay. We'll just go from there then.
I do have one question. I know that there's a ordinance in the city for people when they walk their dogs to pick up after them. Since this is county property, are we still included in that or not?
We're in the city,
Well, that's kind of what I thought.
whether it's county property or your personal property, it's still in the city.
Okay.
But I'm not the county attorney.
So,
Neither am I, but she's a city council person. Well,
It-
the assistant county attorney. knows.
Yeah, I knew what you meant.
it hasn't been a problem in the past, but it's turned into a real problem this year. And so I'm gonna start taking pictures of people that walk their dogs up here, and I don't care if they're doing it or not. I'm gonna know who's walking dogs up here. And then if it gets any worse, then we'll start asking the people in the building to keep an eye out and let us know if you catch them. It's everywhere.
Is it?
Yeah. Okay. All right, see you.
Could be the squirrels.
They aren't,
Probably deer.
Gosh.
they aren't fed
Hey,
that
Dave,
well.
by the way, did you,
What?
deer, dig holes? Seriously?
Oh, and they take toilet paper with them.
No, I got, this hole keeps showing up in my yard.
Squirrels. If they're looking for
Is it-
acorns or
Yeah,
something
they'll do that in Barrett,
as well.
berry stuff. We've got them all over the
Yeah.
place.
When I was
Next year
just-
you'll have acorn trees.
Oh, sweet, okay. Looking up.
Don't encourage.
You saw it?
They're industrious little buggers.
Check the farmer's market.
Okay, I mean, I know they sell pecans. Right, okay. Dwayne,
Good morning supervisors. Let's see, we're spreading contract rock. Still up in Penn Walnut District, about halfway done with that, so. We're hoping mid-July we'll be done with all of our contract rock. We are not starting on the 165th bridge this week. We're getting end supports for stiffeners manufacturer fab so that we can install them on that, but we've got plenty of other pipe projects to work on. We should get Velvet Leaf open today. I hope. They should have a few loads of rock to finish putting on that to get that open again. Bridge project, they should start setting up the approaches this week. They have a little bit of prep work to do to get ready for it, but that should be later this week. They should be on site to start on that. Let's see, Pelling is finishing up Pleasant Plain Road. We've changed the procedure a little bit. I did just a quick thumbnail sketch for you guys to, I've talked to each one of you guys individually about the way chip seal works and why we do it. But I've never spoken to the county in general or here at the board meeting about the purpose of what chip seal does. So an asphalt pavement, as it ages, it'll get what are called thermal cracks from shrinking when it gets cold out. So these are the larger cracks that occur every 40 to 80 feet. And you get that little thump on the pavement as it ages. And the way we try to handle those is with crack filler, which is what this little plug represents. But in between those, as the pavement ages, the action of the UV rays from the sun, rain, and age that surface of the pavement, you get all these little micro cracks. And when the pavement's relatively new, you don't notice those. Then 15, 20 years down the line, you can really tell they're there. And then at some point it gets to like 1/10 was where it's just all cracks. So the idea with the chip seal is you put another layer of oil, and binder is the technical term, which is a cut back liquid asphalt. So it's the asphalt material that they use to make asphalt pavement. That's cut back with #1 diesel fuel, kerosene, and then sometimes a lighter fraction like a naphtha or gasoline. So that over time, that lighter fraction evaporates and then it sets up. To keep it from tracking, you put a theoretically cubicle shaped stones on top of that rock and you roll it in. Well, in practice, they're not perfectly cubical, so they don't set just like I've got a mark there. They get angled and tipped. And ideally, you want these to set in so there's only 2/3 of the stone is embedded in the binder. And you get about 1/3 of it above it. And again, in theory, that's great, but it doesn't work that way. If you end up with thinner rocks, thicker oil in spots. So the material will bleed. And if you remember when the county chip sealed Salina Road years ago, you had a lot of issues with windshields getting cracked. Okay, because if these aren't perfectly set in, tires will roll them. And then the part of the aggregate that has the binder on it will catch on tires and become airborne, and then you have cracked windshields. So what we did to mitigate that this year is we put another layer of a lighter binder over that to fill in and hold that larger stone in place. And then we put a light layer of sand over it to blot that so it doesn't track and end up all over vehicles. When we did 1/10 and 2/18 in Lock Ridge, we kind of looked at how that was behaving and we thought we were too light with the sand. So when we did Pleasant Plain, we put more sand on. That was a mistake. Because then when the rain came, it actually wicked the binder, that lighter binder up into the sand. And then when people were driving through the wet sand, it was doing the same thing that happened on Salina Road. The wet sand was getting caught in tires and broadcasts on vehicles, which I assume that, so I know that's why you're here. I assume you two as well. I've had other people stop by. And if you have narrow tires, it just undercoats your fender wells. If you've got wider tires, it coats your paint job. So what I have told the people who have stopped by and talked to me that have material on the outside of their vehicles is to stop by the office and visit me tomorrow, and I will have my car wash uniform on, and we will use our degreaser and epoxy and take care of their vehicles.
Okay, and where would that be?
Susie's
So
house.
no, not Susan's house.
My only question is liability on that. If the paint gets all scratched up and you're taking it off, then
The
there's,
paint shouldn't get scratched up, but
that, I don't know how it comes off. I haven't been able to get it off, but.
well, I don't plan on scrubbing it, so that's. You apply the degreaser and let it sit and kind of work on the binder, the oil. To make it easier to talk about. So it dissolves the oil and then you spray it off with basically soap and water. Yes, sir.
I just, well, a week and a half ago, I got brand new tires put on our car. My wife took off for a couple of days to go across to see her sister and come back. They were fine. Then Thursday, we went to see another son of mine over in Minneapolis. And it was raining a little bit there, and we drove over that. And we got up on the interstate there. Man, the car was just shaking like that, and we drove slow all the way over to Minneapolis and back. And then the next day, I thought we'd take it into Keith down here at Goodyear, because I thought, well, man, them tires are out of balance. And that's when we noticed all that car, and I got even chunks in my driveway. I'm gonna have to get my spade out, dig them up so we don't drive over them again. But, and it went up on the side of my vehicle too, and the same way with my pickup.
So as far as the undercarriage, I waited 16 years to buy myself a new truck, which I just got 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And I bought it out of Florida, so the undercarriage was completely pristine, but I mean, as far as getting like my spring shocks, all that stuff, we take care of that over there as well. With the degreaser,
It should.
my rims, I mean, it's over everything. It coated my tailpipe tips and everything else, but yeah, it's all up down the sides.
Come see me in the morning.
But,
Bumpers.
oh yeah, well, and our Expedition,
Everything.
that, I drove that through on Saturday when it was wet. When it was dry, when it was still dry the day before, we drove our new Expedition through it. And my bumper, like I said, it's all up inside my, every time I hit my rear bumper like this, I have stuff that's just falling out of it now, and that's.
Yeah, the heavy sand was not.
Well, and that's because chip seal's the way to go. I mean, I just had LL Pelling 3 weeks. I just had LL Pelling 3 weeks ago and did my whole driveway. And they did it correctly, obviously, you know, going up to Salina Blacktop. Question I have is, you know, as far as throwing too much extra heavy sand, what are they doing to resolve the issue now?
Oh, we switched to a lighter oil and less sand.
Okay,
So
so as far, because I
Yeah,
can't travel that road right now.
Yeah,
That's-
from where they're at, Salina Road now to the southwest.
To go to the schoolhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're redoing that section with something else. Is that what you're
No,
saying?
they're from where they've stopped. We're done with everything that's done. We'll just keep that lightly sand. We came through and broomed it off Friday afternoon. And we're putting a light coat of sand on it now.
Okay, so we're not gonna do anything to what's there right now?
No, that's. We're
As it-
gonna leave that alone and let the sun make it.
Okay, so the next few months,
With a light coat of sand, it should be fine.
okay, well, I was gonna say, because I know I went up there with my side by side and just turned around there at Myers'
Yeah.
place.
Yeah,
And it just
Yeah,
pulls that, it just
aggressive
pulls that stuff
aggressive
right up.
treads, if you turn on it, it'll do that.
Yeah, it's pulling everything up in chunks.
We've
So
been
we're
doing
not,
by Bart's place here the last couple of days to get away from that.
yeah. All right, so there's no plan whatsoever to do anything with what's there.
No, what's there, we're just gonna lightly sand it, so it keeps the oil from pushing up through.
Okay, so I assume are you gonna continue farther north?
No,
Okay, so
no,
you're stopping at the
we're
schoolhouse.
stopping at the city limits. Yeah, from the schoolhouse to the city limits. And
Okay.
that's all we're doing on that stretch. Yeah, and you know, the main thing with chip seal is we could do 16 miles of chip seal for
Oh, absolutely.
basically 100,000.
I had, well, we had an asphalt driveway that did exactly what you're talking about. That's why I said chip seal's the way to go, but with
Yeah,
lime
it's
chips. And that's just, you
Well,
know, I mean, if you look at
The
your top
issue is
dressing,
with the
because,
with the lime chips, though, you run the issue of windshield damage.
yeah.
And so I can wash a lot of cars for the price for windshield.
Okay, so, all right, so once again, where are we taking these to?
901 North 8,
Oh, North Eighth.
where
County shed.
Okay.
the county shed.
Okay. And what time?
I've got an appointment at 7 already and 7:30, so 7:45, 8 o'clock in the morning.
What are you gonna use, hot water?
Yeah, we have a hot
So
seat.
they got a hot seat, they've got
Degreaser,
degreaser and
Oh, hot
stuff.
seat?
We'll see how it turns out.
Is there gonna be more roads down this?
What's that?
Is there gonna be more roads down this?
That's what I'm hoping.
We're doing Dowds Road from Libertyville south to the county line, but that will do with the lighter oil again.
Yeah, they're flagging people through before it's dry. And that's part of the problem. I don't know why they didn't let one side dry before.
Well, they're
they
only
started.
flagging through after the sand zone.
Well, it wasn't dry though. So I don't know why they couldn't let one side dry before they started the other side.
Well, it takes about a month for it to actually dry. But with the heavier sand, that was the problems. We put more sand on than we should, so the sand stays damp and then the tires pick it up.
Well, because likely. So the chip seal that they've actually got, that's actually line chips going up towards Salina Blacktop, are they gonna throw more sand on top of that?
Well, that's gonna get another coat, just a thin coat of oil and then some light sand on.
I think that's what caused my problem, is when we went over to Minneapolis there, it was raining, flagmen were still out. And boy, I think if we just.
Yeah, you probably
Right, like
got
that.
probably got a chunk in one of your treads.
All the
Tires
tires were,
down.
yeah, they were brand new, so they would. it
But
just
to
filled
your
up.
point, like I said, we drove over it Friday, and you could just hear the stuff going up inside the vehicle.
Yeah,
Like I said, now that got it.
after the rain came, that really.
Well, no, I'm sorry, I said Friday, Thursday after they finished. I mean, that stuff was all still throwing up into it, so.
Yeah, that's the heavy sand was a mistake on my part.
Yeah, I looked at my wheel wells before I come in here and it just coated it underneath there.
Yeah, if I didn't think it was my mistake, I wouldn't be offering to wash your cars.
What's that?
If I didn't think it was my mistake, I wouldn't be offering to wash your cars.
Yeah, well, see, I didn't know what it was really to begin with, and I went to Keith over there and he looked at the tire. Man, what do you got all over around your tires? And
Yeah,
he said, why don't you leave it there? He didn't even charge me anything for it. And he got the power washer there and he knocked all that stuff off the tires. So then he called me when it was done. And we drove it again and on the highway and not that highway, but and it was fine. So
I apologize.
All right,
We'll try and make it right for you.
all right.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Take pictures. I want to see this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will not be wearing a bikini.
Okay. My bad. It might be worth the price of admission, you never know.
I don't know.
Okay.
It's the,
Oh.
I'll show you, and you know what.
Discuss and consider approval of final plans for the project
South of there, there's the whole.
replacement bridge on Grass Street Avenue.
maintenance,
That's fine.
Estimated cost $553,661. Proposed letting date October 21st, 2025.
Yeah, there's just one spot for signatures. That's the posted bridge on Grass Tree Road. It's an old timber bridge that I think we've got a 6-ton load limit on it.
What would it take it after that?
It'll be an 80-ton or a 40-ton bridge, 80,000 pound legal load bridge after that. The issue with it is, and a lot of the older bridges in the county is the wood pile bridges, and over time, those wood pile deteriorate. We've got I would venture a guess maybe a third of our posted bridges at least are that issue. Yeah, but the piling are wearing out. The bridge on 165th, and then there's another one on 117th. That's the, yeah, 117th that are that way, and there's a number of other ones. This is using off-system bridge funds, so this is all out of our budget, and there is no local match needed because it's not a farm to market route. So this all comes out of our bridge account with the state. But it does need to meet the federal aid requirements, so we're flattening forest slopes. Had to go through the natural resources evaluation. We'll have to acquire 4 parcels for right of way, but none of them are very big, so my suspicion is we'll have less than $30,000 in right of way costs on that.
Have you talked to the 4 parcels?
No, I just got the permits or just received the plats for those a week or so ago and haven't gone through to work up the comps to see what evaluation needs to be on those. So I'll consult with Steve Wemme on that, because these are all small enough, it will be considered a minor acquisition, so we don't have to go through appraisal or the formal acquisition hoops. So it makes it relatively simple and painless, much like what we did on Libertyville Road when we acquired right away for the project.
So this October 1st is, you'll have things around to put out for bids, or you will have the bids back in by October 21st.
October 21st is the bid date.
Still have them in, okay.
Yeah,
When are you, I had a call from the landowner. When are you wanting to start on it? What are you,
my suspicion is we'll offer them free winter work like we did on Libertyville Road, so that they can get the clearing, grubbing, and any offsite grading done over the winter, and then reconstruct the bridge and hopefully have the bridge ready to go early summer.
so it'll be closed the spring then?
Yeah, it'd be winter and
planting
spring.
season. Well, this one gentleman I talked to has cows and he's wanting to know where to put his
Mhm.
feed this fall and stuff, just to having to travel clear around or whatever,
Yeah.
so.
So it's either come in from, he'll be limited to coming in from the north.
I'll have him get a hold of you for more definite on it and stuff, so.
Yeah,
thank
and
you.
we'll know more after the bid letting, but I am assuming that they will want to start in November, much like they
When
did.
they, excuse me, when they start clearing, are they gonna close the road right away?
Yeah, they'll close the road, demo the bridge. That way they can get their equipment down in there and go from side to side without coming out above it to cross over.
Okay,
And that. This has 2 piers in the center, so yeah, they'll need to demo the bridge fairly early, and then it really depends on how favorable the winter is on when we can get the piles driven for the new bridge. It has pier, it's a 90-foot bridge, so it's gonna have an intermediate pier on either side of the creek bed and then the abutments at the ends of it.
it's not gonna be a box culvert.
No, it's, the flow is too big on that.
All right,
And any idea, and I know this is unfair, but any idea of the end date would be on it? Let's assume that winter wasn't forgiving.
Yeah, they could be into October. You know, it shouldn't take that long, but
And the reason I asked was, and you guys would know this better than I, but is, would this be a spring planting issue?
you'd have to talk to the one landowner down there. Spring would be better time to have it closed than fall, in my opinion. Cause fall, you're hauling lots of grain through there. So,
yeah, and
But we would be, hopefully,
one season or the other, it's gonna have to be closed.
right, but what I'm saying is that if they don't start till November, we kind of be past.
We should be pretty well past. I mean, if that's what they're gonna do, if they got a date of when they're gonna close it, they can get their harvest, try to get their harvest done ahead of that. Yes, yes.
Yeah,
I see where you're headed.
And the bad thing about the bridge is posted and the box culvert crossing on the north end of that stretch is also posted, so we need to get one of them up so that they can, because legally right now, they can't run a loaded truck across that. So, you know, they're,
So can you stop them from hauling out their produce?
no, I can't and I won't, but if the bridge collapses, that's a different issue, you know, and that's, you know, that's why it's ridiculous that we allowed it to get to that point. You know, it's been that way for quite a while, and they need to have legal access into that, because they've got livestock there in fields, and there should be no reason they can't drive tractors and fully loaded trucks. And that, you know, and that's kind of our goal in the county, is when we look at bridges, is okay, so how do you get a legal load to this site? And there's only a handful of places in the county that are kind of landlocked, and that's one of the last ones. So we get that done, then we can start looking at some of the culverts on Spruce. It's going north from 34. There are 2 or 3 posted bridges on there. And really, you should be able to run straight north from 34 to the county line and not have to deviate, and that's not the case, so. We're working on remedying that. Did I mention last week that the County Engineers Association is looking to do a bundled bridge grant? Okay, so they're, well, when I got here, we had 2 of them, one up on 146th and one down on 257th. Federal grant projects that the County Engineers Association had bundled together 3 or 4 projects so that they could hit $25 million, what they call a mega grant. So that puts you into really a more favorable position on applying for grants, because there's fewer people applying for the bigger ones. What the only effect that would have on us if we got that grant is we'd be able to use money that's not in our bridge funds for the Stockport Road Bridge is the one I would consider doing that on, because it's not in terrible condition, but it's only 20 feet wide. So you can only have 1 truck crossing it at a time, because you can't fit 2 vehicles safely head to head on that unless they're passenger cars. Even then, you're a little dicey. But I don't know. I told them that we would consider, you know, that to put our name in the hat, and the Engineers Association will go through and rate for grant purposes all the bridges that are submitted, and then pick a handful of them to put in this bundle. So it may come to nothing, because they may decide that our bridge isn't in bad enough condition to be included. Or they may call me back in a few weeks to say, hey, you know, we want you in on this. And at that point, we would be responsible for, you know, paying our portion of the grant fees, which historically is in the $10,000 range. It may come to nothing, but I thought that you guys should know about that.
Okay, we have a motion to approve.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We just sign the front, right?
Yep, just sign and date the front.
We all 3 sign it?
Yes, sir. Please.
Morning, Josh.
Good morning, supervisors. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
All right, cool. So I really don't have a lot to talk about this morning. Sorry, I'm not there with you. I'm on my way to North Carolina. Uh, I was able to work with Elizabeth on the offset program, and we got that rewritten, and I think that's on the schedule for next week for community discussion.
Okay, for the 23rd, right, to discuss, and consider? Oh, public hearing, my bad, okay,
Public hearing, yeah.
okay.
Yep. But otherwise, yeah, that, I think that looks good. She did a good job on that, and there were just a couple slight revisions that we needed to make, but I think we're good on that. The GEMT paperwork or the GEMT grant, I think we'll put in for right after fiscal year. I've got most of that all squared away. Just need to put in a little bit more information when the budget closes, and then we'll be able to push that forward. That's due by November, but I think if we get it in early, we'll be good.
And so, that, if we're successful and we get reimbursed, the first reimbursement would be for the current fiscal year, so we wouldn't see it till the next, is that right?
I believe that's how it works. Yeah.
We'd be kind of a year behind, so to speak.
Right. Right. So, yeah, it's not going to be a quick turnaround, but it'll be, and then we have to renew that every year. So, I think it's worth it though. I think it'll be a good opportunity for us.
Yeah, I mean, it enhance, I don't know if I want to use the word enhance, but it improves the reimbursement somewhat.
Right. Other than that, we're still waiting on Dr. Rofer to get her board certification updated so we can move forward with the training program application. That is the last thing we're waiting on, and she has one class left to take before she can get that done. So, otherwise, still working on the course content and everything else, and we'll start as soon as we can, as soon as we get the okay from the state.
So is there a time frame on that class that you're aware of?
I believe it's in the next week or two.
Oh, okay,
So yeah, here coming up pretty quick, and then she just has to get stuff submitted for her board renewal.
okay.
So,
But we should be able to meet the September deadline?
man,
Not-
I really hope so.
Not deadline, but
Yeah, the
yeah,
goal.
yeah,
Yep. So hopefully.
okay.
And then the last thing I have, I think, is already on the agenda, the discuss and consider the new hire.
Yes, it is. So, well, you want to move to that then?
Yeah, I don't have anything else other than that.
Yeah, any of you have anything for Josh?
Nothing.
So on the agenda is to discuss and consider hiring Brianna Bradbury as an EMT PRN part-time.
Yes.
Jefferson County Ambulance at a rate of $17 an hour. Anticipated start date would be June 23rd. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, don't get lost in North Carolina and not find your way back.
Oh, I'll definitely find my way back.
Okay,
All right. We'll see you guys. Thank you.
be careful.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Oh. No, have not. Okay, number 3, discuss and consider hiring, resolution hiring Charlie Giverson Mitchell as a universal clerk in the Jefferson County Treasurer's Office at a rate of $38,400 a year effective July 1, 2025. Mark, you got anything you want to add or say?
Nope. We've all had multiple conversations about this, so, yeah, this is just the final part of it.
Okay, so do we have a motion or a discussion or whatever?
I move to hire.
Do we have a second? I'll second. Discussion?
I thought, Mark and I had the conversation. I thought when we agreed to give them the employees a 7% raise, we was gonna freeze all new hirings for creating new jobs and stuff. So I guess apparently I've misunderstood something somewhere.
Well, we did approve it in the budget. When he submitted the budget.
That's what he said, and I did not realize it was there.
Oh, I mean, it's your first budget.
Mhm,
You know? I mean,
mhm.
Learning curve's kind of steep, huh, Joe?
Pardon?
The learning curve's kind of steep sometimes, huh?
Yeah,
You guys have a lot to take in.
yeah, it was overwhelming at first, I'll be truthful.
Mhm.
it still is. I
Mm.
mean, I don't mean specifically for you. I mean, and with everything that you face as far as trying to navigate somebody else telling you what you can get for revenue and other people, you know, I get it. It's,
Yeah, well, thank you for understanding.
And Joe, just in case, to make sure you're aware, this was only brought up this year because of legislation that passed that allows me to collect more in tax title and license fees. So it's paying for itself. This isn't costing the taxpayers any more money. And the hope is, well, the goal is that we go completely hybrid with our driver's license. So we're not totally subsidizing as we are right now. If I were to get rid of the appointment schedule, I would have 1,004 nationals sitting out the door, and they are actually going to other places right now because we can't hold them all. So getting those back, plus being able to help the actual taxpayers, I don't know how to say it without sounding somewhat prejudiced, but helping the actual taxpayers who are contributing tax-wise to us is our goal. But this, again, is at no cost to the taxpayers.
I appreciate that information.
any further discussion? So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
I'll abstain because I didn't understand everything so. But I do now, Mark.
Discuss and consider salary increase for Kristen Burnstead, Park Ranger, Jefferson County Conservation. Conservation Board would like to raise Park Ranger Kristen Burnstead's annual salary to $59,000 beginning July 1st, 2025. So I'm gonna ask a question here, Sean, just for sake of argument. Is this the 7%? Or is it gonna be
This
7%?
is on top of her, this is all related to a retirement that has happened since our budget process went through. Basically, we had a long person who worked there very long, retire. She is by default the second most seniority employee on our staff and will have to do a lot of additional work now. But yeah, we're not prepared to give her the position that was lost just because that position, operations supervisor, requires a lot of knowledge that comes over time. But she's still gonna be doing a lot more work than she was as far as lining up work, maintenance related stuff. And this will still get her, she won't be making what we talked about, the average park ranger in southeast Iowa, she'll be below that. But it gets her up higher, kind of to compensate for the additional work that's gonna fall to her because of her second in command position. I would also say that, between a recent hire and her, the total combined salary will be less than what I put in for the maintenance positions, those two positions. So that should make it a little easier. But I'm not gonna need to adjust my budget at all to pay these two salaries.
Okay.
For this raise, but it will be a nice raise for her, but it's acknowledging that she is basically now second in command, and if something happened to me, she'd be really in it, but, that's just how it goes sometimes,
Well, you're not allowed to have.
we'll be, I feel like we'll be fine here shortly and fully staffed again, and we're trying hard to make up for the loss of several experienced positions over the last few years, but, we're gonna go from like 100 years of combined experience down to, like, if I were to leave, it'd be in the single years. But I think we're in good shape, and this raise is just something that's come about kind of through the steps of rehiring and after a retirement, and it acknowledges that she's gonna be doing more work and have more responsibility, so. And will not require any increase in our budget.
Any other questions?
None.
Motion?
So moved.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
You don't need to sign anything, right? No. Was out there yesterday, by the way, my spots were open. I appreciate you keeping them.
We're gonna have a whole bunch of new spots open.
Are you?
I had a conversation with her the other day. She's really excited about things.
Yeah,
She is.
definitely got used, which is good.
Can I have some of it?
I know, I wish I could.
Discuss and consider contract service agreement with Versed HR. So this is, Chelsea. Get me, huh? Stoltz. We had a discussion and consideration. The accounting is going in-house with HR, just so folks are aware. I did ask Abby last week to send out an email to remind everybody that any HR questions are to be directed to Christie and or Darcy. And if they are in need of further advice or counsel or direction or questions, they can reach out to Chelsea. And we reached an agreement with her, and I asked for a copy or a contract that had signature pages on it, and so she's provided that, which is what this is. And it's at a rate of $450 per month. And it includes a handbook of policies, job descriptions, employment applications, human resources counseling, employment practices, employee complaint resolution, discipline, discharge, risk management, compliance reviews. These are services that she would provide if and when they may be needed. It gives Christie and Darcy some additional support, seeing as how that this is a new area for them. So I would entertain a motion to accept the agreement with
So moved.
Versed HR.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
May I ask a question?
Sure.
So from what you just said, I will be able to reach out to this independent contractor if needed, but you're not gonna specify, you know, the specific situations in which they should reach. I'm just wondering about like county liability and the, you know, having a third party contractor kind of limits our liability in certain circumstances. So I was wondering if maybe there could be, you know, specific policies in place, or if you think that it's best just to allow them to reach out as needed.
Well, and what is, I go through the number 9 on this, evaluation, updates, monitoring and amendments. That would be like the handbook and the policies.
Mhm.
Review and advisory support for job descriptions. Review and advisory support for employment applications. Human resources consulting, general guidance, support, information on HR matters. Employment practices, HR audits and practice reviews. Employee complaint resolution, consulting services for effective resolution strategies. Discipline and discharge support and guidance on employee discipline and termination processes. Risk management, advisory services to mitigate organizational risk. Compliance review, HR only. Coverage includes FMLA, FLSA, and HIPAA. Does that help you any? It doesn't help me any, but.
So those are the services that she can provide.
Right.
But the contract is not for specific, like, these are her specific areas.
right.
Okay,
Right.
just curious.
I'll give you my copy of it.
Oh. please don't.
I see you don't have
it. No, I don't. Thank you.
I guess in your motion, would you authorize the chair to sign?
Absolutely. I got another question.
Okay.
Looking at this, I'm directing it to Elizabeth. Do you see that we're changing something that we shouldn't be doing? Because we had a full time and we're cutting that down to let in-house take care of part of it, and then if it gets a little tougher, then go to her, but we're gonna save some money.
Yeah.
Do you see a problem there?
I
or-
think the only problem would be, I guess generally, the county would be better off liability wise for having an outside third party HR representative specifically. So that's the only concern that I have. I understand that this is gonna save money, and if you are still outsourcing certain HR questions, I guess, or issues, then maybe we're gonna be okay. But I think generally speaking, when you take something that had been outsourced to a third party and you move it in-house, you know, you're increasing your liability, like with the ambulance or, you know, anything, you're increasing your liability. So that's my only concern.
Well, and what I would say, and honestly, in that regard, was that the previous contract, as does this one, the contract indemnified and held harmless the outside HR person, so we were still liable.
Yeah, but well, okay.
I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but that's the way the last contract read that way.
So, I mean, you know, maybe you're covered, but generally speaking, though, you're always going to be limiting your liability to a certain extent by outsourcing. certain
Okay.
things.
So. So it says any services requested by Jefferson County that are not listed herein will be billed at $150 per hour. All services requested Verse HR considers to be additional services billable separately at $150 per hour shall be identified as such and approved by Jefferson County in writing prior to beginning work on those additional services. If services are not identified as additional services and approved in writing prior to Verse HR beginning work on those services, said services will be deemed to fall within the contract, and Jefferson County will not be liable for additional costs. So. Right, and then it says Jefferson County agrees to indemnify and hold harmless Verse HR LLC against any liabilities or claims arising out of or relating to this service agreement, which the previous agreement said the same thing. that Jefferson County understands that the services provided under this contract agreement are not performed by licensed attorneys and understands that Versed HR does not purport to provide legal services. So if that's a concern, then we need to address that, I guess. And, you know, Elizabeth expressed some concerns.
I just wanted to raise them, but,
Well, I appreciate that, but that's. so-
and I haven't been involved in any of these discussions, so I'm not sure,
Well, and she obviously, she meaning Chelsea, she came in and lobbied pretty hard about the necessity of having fallback, if you will.
Yeah.
And I know Chauncey expressed concern to me about not having anything, and I told him that this is what we were doing, so he, like you, felt that there was a need to have a parachute, so to speak. So, but clearly we don't have to do this. But I think, you know, we looked at moving everything in-house, and they've gone and got training and
Have you done the training yet?
I have not, Chelsea, Christy and Darcy did.
Is that in 2 weeks, the training?
No, they've done it
Oh, have they already done it? I was not aware of that.
yeah,
in April, I believe.
when we approved the whatever it was.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. I guess I thought what was going on June 30th was what they were going to do.
They took the training courses ahead of time so that the training that you're talking about is for voters.
This is really, I'm correct me if I'm wrong again, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
But this really is not unlike what we had with, on one level with Mr. Breckenridge. When we contracted with him, it was just an hourly.
so I'm not familiar with that contract. And so I'm just bringing up general
Right.
concerns, like I said, about when you move something that had been contracted to a third party to in-house. I think that at a minimum, I think this is a really great thing for the board to do.
So did we have a motion?
Yeah, it was 10 minutes
We
ago.
have a motion and a second.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, I started the discussion.
Well, that's all right. That's fine. That's what it's for.
So in the future, Elizabeth, should we bring this stuff to have you look at before we're starting to do something like this, or?
I mean, I guess I would assume that most agreements would come to our office at some point. Just for no other reason than just a brief review, but I don't know, is that not what
Well, we can
happens?
table this if you wanna.
No,
Yeah.
that's fine, it's fine, and I know that you've spoken with Chauncey about it, I just.
Well, he indicated that he didn't really think we should go solo right off the bat, so to speak.
Right, yeah,
Mhm.
that makes sense.
So,
I agree with that, yes.
okay, so we have a motion which allows the chair to sign, and a second. Any further discussion? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Susie, can I
Yes.
have your copy so we can have you?
Yeah, I give mine to Liz.
Okay.
Or, no, you can keep it.
Okay.
I don't need that.
Okay,
Yes.
Oh,
Just
this is-
read us.
Yeah.
so discuss and consider memorandum of understanding for agreement to provide mental health patient advocacy. I will tell you that I have not heard from anybody at the state either time. Did talk to the deputy auditor at Des Moines County who's handling all of this. I can't remember now, Christie told me there were how many, half the counties signed on to it, half the counties have not, which we would include in that count
Mhm.
at the time. We don't have it. Don't actually have the paperwork. And the conversation, just so you all know, before we move forward, in the conversation that I had with the deputy auditor, and the reason for anybody that's listening and wants to know why we're talking to Des Moines County, they are the fiscal agent for this, and what they do is they pay for the mental health patient advocacy advocate, and then they have in the past been reimbursed by the state. So there's been no cost to the county since the state took over mental health. However, the region and everything is going away effective June 30th, and so there's no longer a region. And it was being run through the region. And there hasn't been anything in writing from the state regarding whether or not they intend to continue the same process as far as payment and reimbursement to Des Moines County. What we have here is a memorandum of understanding that indeed does have an immediate out clause. So we can more or less come back the next week and say, hey, we're out of this. And I'll explain the downside of that in a second. The problem with the memorandum of understanding is there is no dollar figure. You know, it just says that we're responsible for a share of any fees or whatever that may arise. And there's no specific dollar figure attached to it. If we were to jump out of the agreement or not sign on to the agreement, then it would become our responsibility, and all likelihood an attorney would be appointed and we would pay. An attorney would be appointed to a mental health client that would need an advocate. So ultimately, we're in between, I should say that catch-22. We enter into a memorandum of understanding that's open-ended, dollar-wise, but at least the cost would be spread over multiple counties as opposed to us taking the entire cost. If we have one client in need, probably would exceed whatever we would have to pay through this, but again, it's open-ended, there's no dollar amount.
To me, that's kind of scary.
It is.
Because you've got Optime they have mental health advocates there. So
But we're not contracted with them either.
I know that. But if I could just look at Bart here for a second, a lot of the people that you guys have in jail probably have some issues. Mental health issues.
Yeah.
So it isn't just.
Right, no,
A whole lot of people, they do have a lot of.
and again, like I said, in the past years, albeit it's been with the region, there was an agreement with the region.
Yeah.
And then the state came along kind of at the beginning of your tenure,
Yeah.
when the board eliminated the mental health levy. The state said, hey, we're going to pay for everything. And the state has up to this point, with the region still in existence, paid for it. And the only thing that we paid for was we paid for our mental health director and an associate.
Yeah.
And then we were reimbursed through the region. That's all going away as of June 30th. Everything else is going away. There's just not been anything that Des Moines County has received indicating. The notion is, the quote, the word that was used is the understanding, everything's going to continue the way that it was.
So trust.
But it's just a verbal understanding. Yeah, trust us, exactly. There's been nothing to indicate otherwise. So what do? It's an open-ended MOU, memorandum of understanding, but it does have an immediate out clause to it, meaning that you don't have to wait 60 days or anything of that nature.
Have you talked to any other counties that have not decided?
I did not, but Christie did on my behalf. That's how she found out who had signed on and who had not signed on.
I was just curious.
Yeah, no, and Des Moines County, Cheryl, I believe was her name, that I talked to. She expressed some concerns that Des Moines County is, of course, one of the ones that signed on, but they they're kind of hanging out there.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones that actually pay and then they hope to get reimbursed. But I guess I would rather split it 4 ways or 8 ways as opposed to carrying the entire burden. That's not really a good way to do business, but I don't know what else to say. Because we are acknowledging there's potential for cost
Oh, yeah.
in the MOU, because it says, you know, any, I don't know if I still have it here or not. But
That is if the state doesn't come through, is that correct?
that's correct.
Okay.
Everybody is, I don't want to say anticipating, because that's not the right word, but you know, the thought process is they've never said, no, we're not going to reimburse. And they have always reimbursed Des Moines County in the past. So I don't know, Kickout County signed on, I think Van Buren had not, we had not. I'd have to get Christie in here to tell us which one had, which was sent. I don't know. Anyway. What would y'all like to do? I just grew up.
I'm getting taller.
Yeah, well, my feet don't touch the floor now.
What would you like to do?
I would like to not do it, but by the same token, my instinct says as soon as we don't, then we're gonna incur a cost. It's not gonna be split.
Yeah.
I hate to sign something without a definite figure, but also we can get out at a moment's notice, but I agree with you. It's easier to split it 6, 8 ways instead of one. If we don't sign it, we're gonna be responsible for our county regardless.
That's the way I understand it, that we would be responsible to provide an advocate at the time that it was needed to.
There she is.
Hi, come on, hang on. Got my back.
They're just wondering which counties have signed on to the MOU.
And do you have a copy of it?
No, it's not in there.
I have it in my email, just so.
Okay.
So I've made copies the last 2 weeks and you guys haven't signed it.
It's Dwayne's fault.
Oh, okay.
He was busy playing in the sand and not.
Sounds like you're gonna be a car wash guru tomorrow.
Sorry, I had experience. I used to work at a rental car place. That wasn't on my resume.
Do you have any available slots? Okay, just asking.
Anyone?
You bring an ice cream?
Slots?
Oh,
I might.
Okay.
perfect.
So, 3 3s and 38 seconds.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
That's what he told.
Apologize,
Well, the 8 feet
folks,
drive.
we're
I
getting
told
a
him it would.
copy of the agreement so that we
I'll
can
have-
review
I'll
it
have-
again.
The nozzle on that thing's adjustable, so you can go down to a pinpoint or get more of a broad
Well,
spray.
pinpoint will do it.
I just wonder if he's told
Yeah,
Melissa she has to
everything.
wash cars tomorrow.
Oh, I don't know. Melissa,
I know that's what I said.
did Dwayne tell you were washing cars tomorrow?
Is it not?
I don't think she has a microphone.
Oh, okay.
Well, she does have a mic.
I think we didn't buy her that expensive a
It's
monitor.
always sign language available.
Shouldn't have a.
Oh, she was on a message.
Oh.
Oh.
Heck no.
Heck.
Heck no.
Heck no.
Heck no.
Hey, gas is $2.56 in Mount Pleasant.
241.
Hmm.
241 on Thursday night. But I used the BP card too, take another 15 out.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
It's 241.9, the E15.
yeah.
So. I don't know why everybody doesn't have that BP card. I really don't. And then, you know, it's a lot cheaper in Mount Pleasant, so we fill up every time we're there.
You know, what we can do while we're waiting is committee reports.
What about public comments?
That might take a long
Committee
time.
reports.
Okay.
I do public comments and I can leave.
Huh?
You do public comments and I can leave.
Oh. Okay.
Okay.
But it's not all about me.
Is that what you're sticking around for?
I just assumed there might be some other.
Oh,
people
I
who
thought you
may
were
be
just sticking
here.
around for the entertainment.
Well,
Well, we can do that. You want to do that?
Sure.
Okay.
And I'll go first.
Okay.
So Sandy Stever had contacted me.
Who?
Sandy Stever, you know,
Oh.
she used to work upstairs.
Yeah, yeah.
Mental health advocate, what
Yeah.
we're talking about.
Yeah.
She evidently had this mural created. You can take my phone and look at it.
Oh.
She would like to give it to us if we could put it on a stairway going up or down. And I would suggest if you and Joe could go up and just look at it and we'll talk further with her.
It is really cool.
It is cool.
It's here in the courthouse.
Yes.
It'd
Not-
be,
On the third floor,
yeah,
that main office.
Would you like to look at it?
it would be up to Dave as to whether or not we, I'm not smart enough to figure out how to get them out. Okay, so what it says is, for everybody who you know is online, it's an agreement made and entered into between Des Moines County, Henry County, Jefferson County, Lee County, Louisa, Van Buren County, Washington County collectively. It is to provide mental health patient advocacy in participating counties. Scope of services, Des Moines County shall provide mental health patient advocacy and support in the participating counties. And this agreement shall commence July 1 and continue for a period of 1 year. It shall automatically renew for successive 1-year terms unless terminated by any party. Out clause, any party may terminate this agreement at any time with written notice to the other parties. Financial responsibilities, Des Moines County shall be reimbursed by Behavioral Health Administrative Services Organization of the State of Iowa for all services provided. In the event that the Behavioral Health Administration does not reimburse Des Moines County, Des Moines County shall be reimbursed the cost of said services on a prorated basis based on the number of cases assigned from each county over the previous 12-month period. The fee, if any, to the participating parties will be billed quarterly commencing July 2025. So the key to this is, as I read it, Elizabeth, I'm gonna get myself in trouble here. So I need you to bail me out. Or you should.
I thought it was a.
Des Moines County shall be reimbursed by the Behavioral Health Administration for all services provided. In the event that Behavioral Health Administration does not reimburse Des Moines County, Des Moines County shall be reimbursed the cost of said services on a prorated basis based on the number of cases assigned from each county over the previous 12-month period. So if we had the most cases, we would incur the largest cost, if I read that right.
Yes. Oh, good, you asked an easy question. Yes.
And in the past, Sandy has always indicated that we, on a, let's run it before, on per capita, we generally have had more clients than other counties based on a per capita. Just so, not necessarily where a patient advocate, an advocate is needed, but just so you know, and you said, who all
everybody except for Henry, Jefferson and Van Buren,
Okay,
basically.
so 1, 2,
Have
3,
signed
4.
it.
Yeah, so 5 of the 8 counties.
And Des Moines County was gonna sign theirs last week.
Okay. So like I say, Henry, Jefferson and Van Buren. And so there you have it. So we could potentially pay the largest cost simply because we would have the largest need for the patient advocate based on the number of cases in a 12-month period. So if there were, hypothetically, if there were 15 cases in a 12-month period and 12 of them were ours, but generally speaking, they're still planning on the Behavioral Health Administrative Services Organization to pay the bill as it has in the past. They've received nothing that indicates that won't continue, but they've received nothing that indicates that it will. And I'm just, the only reason I think that we're having a conversation is because things are changing effective June 30th. All of the people that we worked with are going to be moving on to other opportunities, including Ryan Wood, who was always my go-to person. Do you want to look at it?
No, I think I understand it, and my feeling is I think we maybe better do it. But we can always get out. So another question. If we don't go with it and we have a need, is the state still going to reimburse us? Or if we don't sign on with them, we're out getting state help?
My understanding, something different, jump in here. My understanding is if we get out, according to the conversation I had with Cheryl, then we're responsible. But we're responsible anyway in terms of if we have the most cases, we're going to pay the most amount of money. But under this agreement, according to what they're saying, the Behavioral Health Administration is reimbursing Des Moines County for providing the advocate irregardless of who is using the service. But the way I understood it, if we're not part of that agreement, we would pay the entire cost because we would have to hire an outside
Yeah.
entity.
Okay.
However, by the same token, if we're in the agreement and the mental health administration does not pay it, then we would be responsible for whatever services we had to use.
So the initial cost is the fact we're sharing a mental health advocate
Right,
with the
Right.
region.
right. And it would be prorated, that cost. So I'm going to use a hypothetical number. So we'll just say that Elizabeth is the advocate and she gets $60,000 a year to do that. And if during the course of the year, there are 20 cases and 11 of them are ours, that 60,000 will be prorated to us on the basis of 11 of them, or 50+%, so 30+ thousand dollars. I'm not saying we would use that much, that's the way I understand it in my.
Yes, I mean, that's what prorated means.
Yeah. So there's a set amount that the advocate will be reimbursed for the services. I don't think it's per service, I just think it's like a salary. And if it doesn't get reimbursed by the state, then we will pay whatever portion of that salary that we use based on. I don't like it, but the other side of the equation, it's just as much unknown as this is, maybe more so. Because if you don't use any services, yes, sir.
Well, if nobody uses any services, isn't there some base level that they have to pay to have this
Uh-huh.
person?
So let's say the salary is 60,000, again, hypothetical number. We're going to split that 8 ways.
Okay, that's, so if nobody uses it, you're still on the hook for
And I know
that, but
Christie or Abby said something, or Shannon said something about we paid something last year. Wasn't much, but we did pay something.
But if you're in the group, you're eligible for the state reimbursement. If you're out of the group,
You're not.
you're not, you don't have that.
You still
payment.
have to supply an advocate by code.
So then you're on the hook for 100% of the cost of
Right.
having an advocate on
Right.
staff.
So yeah, we have to, one of those state mandates, but we have to supply an advocate by code. If you don't have a need for one, then you don't have any cost, but if you have a need for an advocate, then we have to.
So if we have no need, we still have to pay a portion of it. If it's, you say 60,000 if there's 8 counties,
Correct.
it's 7,500 each.
Yeah, I can't remember, it wasn't that much last
It was
year.
under 5,000.
Huh?
I believe it's under 5,000.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's where we're at.
Well, I'm quite sure we're gonna have the need the way things are. Any financial on what was reimbursed last year or anything?
She said it was less than 5,000.
To the,
What we had to pay.
oh, what we had to pay was less than 5,000.
Which I think we budgeted for.
Yeah, we did,
Yeah, we
we
did.
did have a line for just in case.
So we do have a line item in the budget that does have funds in it for that specific purpose. Certainly probably not enough if we went on our own. Again, I think the unknown cost of going on our own is a little more scary
Yeah, that's,
than going this route.
I agree.
Cause you know, I think it's extremely reasonable to believe you're going to have costs if you stand alone.
Yeah.
You may have some costs going this way, but it may not be as much, but it is unknown.
Yeah.
So I guess what I would do at this point to move things forward is I would make a motion that the board authorize the chair to sign this MOU with, along with the other 8 participating counties.
I'll second that.
I'll get you the original to sign.
Okay. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I appreciate the conversation, the discussion. I'm sure it was probably like watching paint dry for some folks.
Well, I didn't honestly understand everything at first, and after we kept talking, now I completely understand. I'm a little slow sometimes.
Okay, so committee reports. Maybe.
Did you start it? Do you want to finish or did you get done?
I just want to say, if you guys are interested in accepting Sandy's mural, we should let her know.
Well,
I think she mentioned that it's best suited for a stairway to go up or down.
So I guess what I would ask, I would love to have it, but I would ask Dave to look at it and
Sure,
see. what he
and I would
thinks.
ask you and Joe to go look at it.
Oh, I know what
Okay.
you're talking about. But I just, I don't,
That's what I've seen of it, so.
I just want to make sure that Dave is comfortable with. Cause I don't know how you put it on the stairs,
Mhm.
but. And then Elizabeth probably take a look at it and make sure that it doesn't create liability hanging on the stairs. Because some dummy like me would go along and go, oh, that's not.
I think it'd be
Just
too,
have to
too
put it
tall
a
to
little
reach.
higher or something.
Okay, yeah, that's true. We can do that. Then,
Lee,
Just have
you
everyone sign releases when
Okay,
they walk
yeah.
up the stairs, we're gonna be golden.
Okay.
you could use the elevator, you wouldn't have to worry about.
I use the elevator anyway, so you're right. I rarely use the stairs.
So, yeah, I'd be in
Maybe
favor of
coming
it,
down.
Susie.
What do you say, Joe?
I'd be in favor of it, Bureau. So,
Back to committee reports. We spent a lot of time last week with the workforce committee. And if you're all familiar with federal dollars, we're now having an emergency meeting to do with a probably, don't quote me, $200,000 audit exception.
What is an audit exception?
They might have screwed up.
Oh, okay,
Okay,
okay.
so nice way is audit
I see,
exception.
got it, yeah.
And just to go through that and see,
Okay,
it'll take the folks at workforce to answer to the state to say, okay, you're fine, or okay, you're not fine.
Right.
But I'm kind of interested to see all the issues. And that's what I have.
sometimes I can. When my son was in engineering class and they'd have one math, you've been this, they'd have one math problem that'd be 40 pages long.
Yeah,
And everything looks like it's going right because all the numbers work out, even right down to the end, and you solve it, and then your professor goes, it's not right. And somewhere 20 pages back, you transposed a number or you did something.
yeah, or
And-
they mislabel a page.
Yeah, exactly. I'm serious, but I can't believe it.
Yeah.
that's why I'm not an engineer.
So I
With the
believe
degree.
we also had the safety committee meeting last week. And I know that somewhere there's a set of slip apparatus for your shoes for you guys to look at.
Oh, okay.
I think, do you have?
I think we have all of them.
Yeah,
And then they're gonna go to public health so that
Yeah.
everyone can go see them and then
Yeah.
they'll have to come up with a spreadsheet. Everyone can go to the website and identify what kind of slip resistant, their traction, what are they called? They just, go on the bottom of your boots.
yes,
or
they
whatever.
slip on instead of a
Traction
boot.
aids,
Yeah,
yeah.
traction
And
aids.
so, due to this grant that we'll be getting through our
RMC?
insurance carrier, we'll be able to provide those to everyone in the county who wants them, and then we'll have that slip resistant footwear policy that you already.
On another note, they might make you a little taller.
Well, that's a positive.
You talk to your road
Of course,
department.
from what I understand, the air.
Yeah, they're not
I
fans.
don't know, never having been there.
Mhm.
Yeah,
They're not fans.
They're not fans.
Oh,
so we probably should
But they-
insist that Dave wear them.
They're also
Pardon me?
We probably should insist that Dave wear them.
I didn't say
they're
that.
not out on ice very much.
And Abby,
okay. Well, then they won't use them much, yeah.
What do they want on the agenda?
The only one who's dumb enough to walk around on ice is the department head.
We've already got 2 things on.
I feel the same way. I'm like, I'll shovel.
Or there's a
I thought about it earlier tonight. But I do want to. Well, I haven't decided yet. I'll ask you guys wait 1 month to talk about it.
All right.
I'm done.
Okay, sure.
Last week, I attended the opioid work session here. Went to the Grow Fairfield Little Achievers ribbon cutting out at the Child Care Center. And they had poured a new parking lot at the Child Care Center and kind of dedicated that. They had a ribbon cutting. And over at the other part, I'm gonna let Lee have the glory there. Oh, let's see what else. I attended a RAC meeting at the Eco Lab. Safety meeting at the Law Center on Wednesday. Ooh. I attended the Jefferson County Emergency Preparedness Meeting. Brett should be happy. At the hospital at 8 o'clock. I mislabeled it the last time, so. Oh, let's see here. And on Friday, we had the Southeast Iowa Area Detention Meeting. And we talked about they need some parking lot replaced here in town at their office. And at the detention center, they're wanting new locks and everything, so that's the Southeast Iowa Area Detention Service Agency. So you aware of that stuff, Bart? Okay, so then that's Saturday morning. They were having a flag burning ceremony at Mazda Barnes. The Boy Scouts was doing that, and I showed up. And everybody goes to a funeral, watches them fold a flag that's on a casket. I never realized how delicate, how precise they are on that. And Jim Saltz showed me and taught me how to do it. He's professional. I'm still an amateur.
Yeah.
But they had around, Tony estimated 250 flags to burn, and they burnt somewhere under 200, the way I understood it. But it was very professional. They had a program and stuff, and
So what are they doing with the rest of them?
they're going to plan it again for around Veterans Day. We put them back in the
Oh, okay.
building. And there'll be more because I've already had somebody heard about it contact me. It's got 5 flags. So
And
anybody on that has an old tattered US flag, get a hold of me or Tony Webb. Get them out to the Mazda Barnes.
I was gonna go and I completely spaced it off.
They had about 25 people there.
I usually give mine to Ray at Veteran Services here. I assume he probably,
The Boy Scouts
into
did
them.
it, so he probably did.
he probably gets
Yeah.
into them.
Yeah. So,
It's pretty convenient.
yes, and I was impressed with the ceremony. I really was. So that's all I've got.
Well, I'll start with the groundbreaking for the Grow Fairfield housing development. We attended at 1 o'clock, and Ed Malloy asked me to say a few words, which is very difficult for me, right? But anyway.
Main speaker.
Yeah, right. Nobody could see me because the podium was taller than I was, but that's okay. Anyway, I did think, we were talking about community partnerships, which this obviously was a community partnership. And I thanked those partners for allowing us the opportunity to be part of that partnership, and discussed briefly the partnership between the city of Fairfield and Board of Supervisors, Conservation, and the Mazda Barnes Preservation Committee. I think one of the things that came out of that portion of the partnership was the ability to, because we do believe that, as I indicated, that you cannot overstate how these kind of partnerships can enhance the lives of the residents. But I also think that what we were able to do here collectively in that partnership was marry the past with the future, right there in the same area, by preserving the Barnes and what it stands for, while moving forward with the development. And I think with the trails that are there, they're going through there, I think that development in and of itself with the Barnes on the landscape will be a beautiful location. I just hope that it provides the needed housing that we have, what I say, the need to fill. So it went well, a lot of people in attendance, and the ground was a little hard, but they managed to dig out a couple spadefuls of dirt, and I watched. But clearly the podium was indeed taller than I was. I had a Rust Board meeting, and everything was pretty straightforward. We discussed our ICAP contribution and premiums and deductibles, whether or not we wanted to increase the deductibles for FY26 and chose not to. Things are kind of up in the air in Louisa County over the solar farm, for lack of a better way of putting it. It almost from, and talking to Bruce, they're gonna have to go, because they didn't meet some deadlines, they're gonna have to go back to square one. So it may delay that project for a while. I don't know where Elizabeth went to, had a discussion with Elizabeth tail end of last week. We have the potential for some mini home developments, if you will. Still don't know, talking to Jerry. We still don't know exactly where it's gonna be located. I have a pretty good idea. As we talked to Dwayne last week about it, that subdivision is not complete, does not meet the requirements of the subdivision ordinance as far as a major subdivision goes. I went through the ordinance. Elizabeth has done some rework on it, so I want to put that on the agenda for the 23rd. I guess I need to ask Elizabeth, do we need to have it as a public hearing or just to discuss and consider at this point? The subdivision ordinance.
Right, well, I guess perhaps discuss and consider, since
Okay.
it's been a while
Right.
since we
Right,
discussed and modified it, so
Right.
we want to discuss and consider and then make sure that
so
we're on the same page.
that's what I was trying to remember and,
And I know that Jerry Leonard obviously has an interest in it as well. so-
right, so,
You wanna make it a work session after the meeting or just start out, discuss, consider during the meeting?
However you'd like to handle it, however you'd like to handle it.
I think it, if we have it in the public venue, we can put it down towards the end so we can,
Okay.
but if it's in the public venue for those that wanna, I mean, we could put a work session on, but I just, either way, we can discuss it in public, but if it's towards the bottom, then. Also, Mark, I have a question. I had a conversation this morning with a gentleman. Did the Boyd property sell that you're aware of?
What do you mean by sell?
Well, that's what I'm asking you. I don't know what I mean by sell. I was given the impression that a gentleman out of Washington County has purchased the property. I don't know if that means that he or she just outright purchased it, but isn't aware of what the taxes are on it, or,
That'd be a good guess.
yeah. But they've evidently started cleaning up the property. But they've been moving the stuff, from one property to the property on the corner where that old mobile home sits.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm at the end of that circle. The recorder's office gets the deed, goes into the auditor's office and Abby, which at that point it goes to the assessor's office, and then I'm the last one to see any change. So if it was done in the last couple of weeks, I'm not going to see it.
Yeah, I have no idea.
It is current as far as being paid because the tax sale investor has been doing it. The last day to redeem, because they've already received their 90-day notice, is going to be on June 23rd, so a week from today. If this is, which the total right now is just shy of $42,000. So whoever owns it, if they don't pay the county $42,000 by the end of the day next Monday, it doesn't matter who owns it because the tax sale investor is going to own it.
Right, okay. Well, he'd asked me this morning if we had made some arrangements, and I said, I'm not aware of absolutely anything. The last conversation I had about it was with you about whether or not we would inherit the property if it didn't go a tax sale, and then we would have to go through the process of, and I think he told me we had 12 months or something like that. I don't remember exactly what you said.
Are we the lien holder on that?
Who is
As far as
lien
the
holder?
certificate?
Yeah, I think so.
It is us. Well, how about that?
Which property is this?
Larry and Fay Boyd.
Larry and Fay
Oh,
Boyd?
yeah, and I already sent out those notices, so
Yeah,
that process has already been started.
Okay.
Yeah, uh-huh.
sorry, so let me rephrase that. It come next Monday at 4:30, unless that 42,000 is paid back, the county owns it.
Okay. And the reason I asked the question is because somebody is, I don't know if the people who allegedly thought they owned it, which would be the descendants of Mr. and Mrs. Boyd,
Mm-hmm.
sold the property for something,
Mhm.
you know, about 235, and so then that person is coming in and cleaning up the property.
Mhm.
They've been moving out the RVs and stuff that have been sitting there.
There was somebody living there
Uh-huh.
because they received service. so-
Yeah. Which this gentleman gave that to me as well. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought too, but
Is this the one where they're kind of sequestered to just one or two rooms because the roof leaks everywhere else?
this is the one where you
There's-
can't see the front of the house. And
Oh,
the
so
same
that's a-
person that
that's a different
allegedly
house.
bought this property, bought the Hugh Hamilton property just to the north of that and tore
Okay.
the house down. That Hugh always left it in his late wife's name, but
Gotcha.
anyway, that's what I needed to know, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's gonna be an interesting, I'm gonna have to call this gentleman back, but the name of the person that allegedly bought it is Dan Glatch in Washington County. Glatch. So, I don't know, but the other problem we have is I'm gonna get Jerry Leonard to go up, take a look, because my understanding is that property, I believe it belongs to,
Ron Roberts.
yes. Somebody's actually living on that property,
Yeah, I got a phone call from
Okay.
a neighbor concerning that.
yeah,
And I,
so was his name Dave by any chance?
Heather
That's
said,
who I talked to this morning. Anyway.
Hey, Lee,
Yeah, hello.
when you call Mr. Glatch and ask him to bust out his checkbook, if you want the actual amount, it's
Yeah.
41,942 and 54 cents.
I may get the board to waive the 54 cents. We'll have that conversation. Just saying.
We compensated him.
Yeah. All right, thanks, Mark, appreciate it. So that's all I had. Public comments? Hearing none. I don't see claims.
There aren't any.
There aren't any claims. So I would entertain a motion to
Wait a minute.
adjourn.
So moved.
second.
All those in favor say aye.
Oh, yeah.
Aye. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it.